Alright, let's check on the latest news from everybody's favourite mining company, Adani. Here we have something from Guardian Australia. Adani deadline for $18.5 million water licensing payment pushed back until mid-2021. Exclusive. Carmichael delays raises questions about whether Indian parent company has allocated required finance. Adani has sought to delay significant upfront expenses for its Carmichael coal mine by another 2 years, raising questions about the company's claims its Indian parent has allocated the required finance. Guardian Australia can reveal Adani was granted a reissued water license to take up to 12.5 billion litres a year from Sontua River by the Queensland Government on the 29th of May. The deadline for the 18.5 million outstanding payments has now been pushed back until mid-2021. The company has previously been given a year's extension beyond its initial July 18 payment deadline. Adani's own water model shows it requires 3.35 billion litres of water during its first year of construction. Adani says the reason for the delay is because the company is working through the implications of legal challenges by activist groups to its water scheme and will pay when those matters are finalised. The company also recently sought and has been granted approval by the federal government for a 2-year extension to the deadline to legally acquire properties to be used as environmental offsets for the western portion of its rail corridor. Adani will have to negotiate with landholders to pay compensation to secure the offset areas. Since announcing it had secured finance from within the Adani Group to build a scaled-down version of the Carmichael mine in November 2018, Adani's Australian operation aggressively sought to pressure governments to sign off on outstanding environmental approvals. The campaign included messaging that we have finance and we are ready to start, and links to push for environmental approvals to the immediate provision of jobs. Since gaining those approvals, Adani says it has agreed 450 million worth of contracts and has 150 workers on site conducting land clearing, surveying, fencing work, civil earthworks and other construction activities. Financial market sentiment appears to be improving towards Adani's Australian operations, with bonds in the Abbott Point coal thermal increased 15% in the past month. In a statement, Adani said the Carmichael was proceeding in line with its schedule and cost estimates, and that minor variations are a matter of course in major mining projects. Works will continue to ramp up over the coming weeks and months. We are on track to deliver our first coal in 2021, but satellite images show little physical progress has been made since the notional start of construction in June. Analysts of those images show the company has cleared about 365 hectares, 900 acres of land at the 28,000 hectare mine site. Guardian Australia understands many of the workers on site are employed by external contractors under short-term agreements. The energy finance expert Tim Buckley says any notional finance allocated by Adani Group to the Carmichael project was still, quote, sitting in India. The fact that they don't have 18.5 million to pay for the water license is pretty telling, Buckley said. In the scheme of the Adani Group's business, that is small change. Adani's chairman and founder, Guten Adani, has got the cash to build Carmichael and pay for things. Let's not pretend he doesn't. The money is there now, but it's sitting in India. By definition, the finance hasn't come yet. Buckley says projects with secure finance were typically then able to spend the money without restriction. When a project gets finance, you're off to the races. You don't say you're going to build a quarter of a railway line. He said Adani's attempts to process the Carmichael mines were debt on debt on debt, and that was a good indication that the Indian parent had at least some hesitation about the project given the risks that remain from the environmental activism, the diving price of thermal coal, and additional regulatory hurdles such as negotiating access to the Arizon rail network. Guardian Australia has spoken to contractors who previously discussed working with Adani and who said the company had proposed an unusual sort of vendor finance arrangement that would effectively delay payments for work by up to 2.5 years after the mine was operational. Adani Mining negative balance sheet and the group's lack of assets in Australia, other than the heavily in-debt Abbott Point port, has raised concerns about the availability to offer security to contractors and others. The state government requires finance assurance to cover the potential royalties deferral deal, which is still under negotiation. The Lock the Gate Alliance said the extension of the water license payment was further evidence that Adani is in no way financially prepared to put its money where its mouth is. The Lock the Gate coordinator Carmel Flint said the water license conditions contained a trigger for the Queensland government to cancel it should the payment not be made by the due date. It's very unfortunate that the Queensland government did not take this opportunity to cancel this license and reassess the water impacts on glaciers and waterways in central Queensland, Flint said. The Australian Conservation Foundation said that it was concerned about allowing a further delay in securing offset areas which would provide habitats for native species including the black-throated finch. Christian Slattery from the AFC said offsets were inadequate, but the variation to the Adani's conditions further weakened protections for those species. This decision means delayed protection for threatened species like the black-throated finch, which Adani's coal mine has placed at further risk of extinction. Adani's coal mine would never have a social license to operate in Australia. Any company that shackles itself to this project risks risks a permanent mark against its reputation and must be prepared for the financial consequences that will follow, Slattery said. In its statement, Adani said that all activities are being conducted safely in line with Adandi's mining environmental requirements, including having wildlife spotters on site monitoring the construction activity. Alright, what this tells me is that the Queensland government seems to want this Adani Carmichael coal mine more than Adani wants it, because if they're extending the license payment due date where otherwise it would cancel the whole thing, and this guy hasn't paid for the water licensing and seems to be umming and ahhing the whole thing, maybe it's all got to him. Maybe he's finally realised it's probably not the right way to go, and the Queensland government could be the major stubborn sons of fucks. Second thing I want to add, which is not even really playing devil's advocate, but the extension he's been given to the finding properties for the wildlife offset, which I'm assuming is to buy enough land for habitat for any wildlife in the area, and I'm guessing they must find equivalent or adequate area of land in proportion to the mine site. I'm just going to take a little moment to appreciate that there is even something like that, and that I guess they're given an extension and not just going, well, you didn't find it, oh well, at least you tried. And my final point is, this is another great example of when people power works, because of all of the protests and campaigns and rallying that the Stop Adani group have done. They've made business with this company toxic, and I've read so many stories about companies and firms refusing to insure them. Railway companies don't really want to share their rail lines with them, and yeah, just proof that if we all get together and actually put up a good fight, we can get somewhere. But alright, yeah, strap yourself in. Here's a plot twist you probably did not see coming. Media release from the 31st of October 2019, a Dundee rugby-run solar farm is officially open and at full operation. A Dundee's first renewables project in Australia, a 65 megawatt solar farm in central Queensland, has now been officially switched on, powering more than 23,000 regional Queensland homes and businesses. Located near Moranbah in central Queensland, Rugby-run Solar Farm's 247,000 solar panels makes it the 8th largest solar farm in Queensland and a significant contribution in renewable energy production for Queensland. Adani CEO Lucas Dow was joined by Isaac Regional Council Mayor Anne Barker to officially open the farm in Moranbah today. We are delighted to officially open the Adani Rugby-run solar farm today, adding an Australian arm to our already significant international renewables portfolio, Mr. Dow said. People are often surprised when we say that we're in the renewables business, but the reality is that we recognise the world needs a reliable and affordable energy mix of both coal and renewables in order to meet the current and future global energy demands. In India, we already have 2,385 megawatts of renewable energy being produced every year, which is enough to power the entire state of South Australia. We will continue to walk the talk on the importance of a reliable energy mix, and our Australian Rugby-run solar farm, now in successful operation, is evidence of that, he said. The Rugby-run solar farm project construction contractors were managed directly to ensure cost-efficient and timely delivery rather than via a more common EPC contract model. More than 175 people were employed during the peak construction, with local Queensland contractors from Claremont, Chinchilla, Bowden and Townsville also engaged, ensuring the benefits were focused on regional Queensland, Mr. Dow said. We made sure we engaged Queensland suppliers whenever possible for Rugby Run, with 89% of our contract services for the project going to Queensland businesses. 78% of supplier contractors went to regional Queensland businesses alone, he said. The solar farm has been built for Queensland conditions, with the panels programmed to rotate to track the sun most efficiently and also to move to the most efficient angles to withstand inclement wind and weather. Adandi's expertise as India's leading generator of solar power and manufacturer of solar panels was leveraged throughout all the stages of planning, construction and now into operation. Technical details: 1.3 million galvanized zip ties to be used in the stringing of electrical cables, more than 247,000 solar panels installed, 175 jobs at peak construction, 18 kilometer fence line installed, 7.2 kilometer of road built to access site. site, 6,500 holes pre-drilled. The solar panels rotate to track the sun and maximize efficiency. The solar panels are programmed to rest at an angle to withstand incumbent wind and weather conditions. 65 megawatts solar farm. Adani is the largest private electricity generator and the largest integrated manufacturer of solar panels in India. Its operations generate significant thermal, coal-fired and renewable energy. Adani Green already has 2,320 megawatts of renewables in operation, and in addition of Rugby Run takes global capacity to 2,385, and a further 2,340 megawatts under construction, including one of the largest solar farms in the world at Kamathi in Tamil Nadu. In comparison, Queensland has installed renewable generation capacity of just over 2,000 megawatts. I didn't know Adani did renewables. Did you guys know that they did renewables? Why didn't anybody tell me? Queensland fam. Did one of you tell me and I just didn't see it? What do you mean? Alright, here's the new game plan. Disregard anything I've said about you in previous videos, Mr. Adani. I take it all back if you do this. This is what you do. Go with your instinct and scrap the Carmichael coal mine and completely flip it on its head and be the hero of the world and go, yep, I get it. I'm getting rid of the whole coal thing. We're going solar, wind all the way, son. And just put all your efforts into that. Set a trend, be praised by people all over the world, and then everyone that had those Stop Adani signs will get the Start Adani signs. We'll use you as an example to pressure other companies, and when we're not all dead, I personally will demand a statue of you erected wherever you please, because it'll be great for everyone. The planet, your stocks. I think you should go for it. Apparently this only cost him, according to I think Channel 7 Queensland, $100 million. But yeah, Mr. Adani, that idea is on the house. Really think you should go for it. And to the Queensland government, I could make the argument that, which I guess then you could confirm, the argument that maintaining solar farms has more long-time jobs, even if it's a smaller amount, but long-time jobs in comparison to mines, because sooner or later, eventually, no matter what you're mining, the mine will stop. You either run out of resources, like you've got them all, or what you're mining isn't worth mining. But electricity, we seem to reckon we'll need that all the time, and if these farms are a permanent thing that will need constant maintenance, that's generation of jobs. You can have people be like, oh yeah, gonna work at a solar farm like my grandpappy. A solar farm. Would that mean we'd have sun farmers? Farms that would probably not take up much water? Could put them miles away from the river? That would be brilliant. Imagine Matt Canavan's face if we all got the Start Adani signs out because he decided to ditch coal. His face would probably melt off. If the Nationals had to represent solar farmers because they're a big portion of the farming population in Australia, sorry, that's just a mental image that it's such a fantasy because it clashes with the crap I hear them say in question time so much. Alright, we'll wrap it up there. And if you made it through this whole thing, then undeniably you are a member of the What Do You Mean team. So I would just like to say shout out to Aaron and his sister and his mates, and thank you so much for your support. Have a good one.